Hello, magical experimenters. Taylor Ellwood here, and I am back this week with another video, and we're going to actually be doing it about glamour magic again because in the first video that I posted last week, I had a question about how glamour magic might be used to make a person feel safe, less anxious, things like that. So I thought, all right, well, why not explore that more in depth? Because I talked about how you could do it. It's a use for glamour magic that isn't typically discussed because most of the time, from what I've seen in regards to glamour magic, it's all about how to glitch yourself up, feel more, bring more attention to yourself, etc., etc. So, I think though the whole point of being a magical experimenter is sometimes to do the opposite of what everyone else is doing so that you can discover the joys and hidden secrets of magic. Before we get into that, though, I do want to show you this lovely little pendant. It is the second seal of Mercury, as the first seal on the side, and then this one, which is a seal of Jupiter, with the first one on the side. I think this is the fourth one. Yeah, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, but I just got these recently. From Allison Tchaikovsky over at practicaloccult.com. There's a link in the video text, so check her stuff out. I've just begun to work with that stuff, and I will be posting a video at a later point. But I do strongly endorse her work. She's an amazing magician, and I don't say that lightly. So, all right, so let's get to the matter at hand in regards to glamour magic and how it can be used in order to feel safe and draw people's attention away from you. And I'm going to first tell you a story about William S. Burroughs. William S. Burroughs is a famous author, or was a famous author. He's dead now. But in one of his books called The Adding Machine, he has this essay about how he learned to be invisible. And he talks about this technique he uses that he was taught by an old mafia don, where basically if you're walking down the street and you want to be invisible from someone, if you don't want someone to see you, what you do is you make sure that you see them first, because if you see them first, then you already know where they are, and you can consequently adjust your movements and everything else so that you're not where they would see you. You effectively become invisible to them. And I've actually used this technique before, and it's part of the inspiration of my own approach to glamour magic, because it really is based on the idea that if you are the person who is aware of your environment, then you're also aware of other people, and you consequently have control of that environment in a way that those other people do not. And really, this is a good exercise to try. Try it sometime. Go out and pick a random person. It doesn't have to be someone you know. But basically, pick a random person and make it so that the entire time that you are nearby, you are not seen by them. And the way you'll do this is you'll basically make sure that you're able to see them and that you're aware of how they're moving or interacting in their environment. You're not doing this to stalk them, by the way, and I know it seems a little creepy in that sense, and I don't recommend doing it for that reason. But this is a great example of how to be aware of your environment and how to use your environment to learn how to hide yourself from other people for all intents and purposes. And it's one of those things that I've taken and applied to this concept of glamour magic, in the sense that if we look at what glamour magic is, in a very real sense, glamour magic is the magic of appearance, the magic of image. Well, the thing about the magic of image is that, yes, on the one hand, you can use it to draw attention to yourself and to make people aware of you. And on the other hand, you can also use it to make people not aware of you. Now, the way that I approach using glamour magic in terms of quote unquote invisibility, when I'm doing magic for that effect, is I do use that one technique. But the other thing that I like to do is that when I'm out and about and I don't want people to notice me, I tend to focus on finding a way to blend into the environment. Now, people who've met me will tell you that I can be a fairly colorful individual. I've got a black leather hat with a feather out of it, and I wear a trench coat sometimes, and all that other stuff. Yet nonetheless, I can tell you that I can successfully manage to blend into the environment despite wearing somewhat colorful clothes or wearing my trench coat and hat. And the reason for that is because what I do when I employ this particular technique is I basically visualize all the color leaving me until I imagine myself becoming part of the environment around me and just fading into the environment until I become part of the background, just another faceless being in the background doing my own thing. And I find that it works really well because what you do is you blend your awareness of the environment into your sense of self and you become part of the environment. And for all intents and purposes, you are the environment. What ends up happening is that people don't notice you as much because when you become part of the environment, you become part of the background. And becoming part of the background is one of those things that people don't always recognize that you can do, but it's actually very easy. It's really just a matter of allowing yourself to fade into the background and become part of the background. Make it your reality. You essentially allow your personality, etc., to kind of fade away, at least for other people. You're still aware of yourself, but you focus on becoming a chameleon. And when you become a chameleon, then people don't notice you. And so that's one way that I use glamour magic. And it's a great way to draw people's attention away from you. The other thing that I like to do in terms of feeling, in terms of a situation where I may want to feel safe or I don't want people's attention to be drawn to me, is I will also set it up so that their perceptions of me are not as noticeable. Kind of like I'll kind of project outward an energy of just grayness of being part of the background. And so it's kind of one and the same thing, but it's a little bit different because what I'm doing is I'm projecting that energy outward. I prefer the first approach where you kind of blend into the background and become part of it because then you're not really putting as much energy into it. And if anything, you're absorbing the energy around you. One way that you can do this is through pore breathing, which if you're familiar with it, there's the Franz Barton technique, but there's also the Taoist technique, where you're breathing in and out. But what you're doing is you're learning to breathe in and out of your skin, so to speak, your pores. When you breathe in, you're feeling that breath through your body. Well, what you can do is you can also do this as a way to breathe in the environment around you, breathe in the experience, and let that experience blend into your reality so that you just become part of that background. I also I also set up glamour magic in regards to like the places that I live. The way that I set that up is I really kind of again make the place into something where it's harder for people to find. In general, I don't want people to easily find where I live. I only want my friends to know where I live and find me, things like that. And so what I tend to do with that is I tend to basically set up glamours around the place where it just subtly discourages people and encourages them to go somewhere else or go away. The result of this is we really don't have solicitors that come to our door very often. I know they don't really seem to do that much anymore anyway, but certainly less so even than what I would see with other people. But the other aspect of it too is generally that unwelcome people don't find or visit our home. They just tend to go away. And part of that is because what I do is I focus on making the wards for the location just become more or less blend the environment into the home, and again just kind of make it fade into the background so that it's not very noticeable. One of the things I like to sometimes do is visualize light refraction. So I'll take, a sense of light and I'll basically visualize it bending around me and again, kind of, again, making me into that environment, um, making me become part of the environment. Now, some people might say this is really just a trick of perception, and that would be fair to say. The thing is that when you have a keen understanding of how people see and think about things and how they experience stuff, you can use that as a way to basically work against their ability to be aware of you and sense you. And that's why I take these kinds of skills and apply them. I will admit that I do this as a regular exercise whenever I'm out and about. I like to have fun with this kind of thing and just focus on blending into the environment and have it so that people don't really notice me. I've even gotten to the point where I don't even necessarily think about it that much anymore. It's kind of a thing that I just tend to make happen, unless, of course, I want someone to notice me. And that's then, and of course, I mean, I do the opposite too. I do sometimes do glamour magic in order to attract people's attention. Like whenever I've done workshops and presentations and I'm doing talks, I definitely want people to pay attention to me. So I make sure that I quote unquote run the glamour out and grab people's attention, because I want them to notice me and pay attention to what I'm saying and, share that information with them. And presumably if they're there, they want to learn anyway. So, hey, great. Or, not so much anymore, but if in the days when I was maybe, looking to date somebody or whatever, well, a little, hey, notice me, here I am. That would be nice, certainly nothing wrong with doing that. But I think that, in a situation where you don't want people to notice you, focus on becoming part of the environment and make the environment your friend, and try that trick of Burroughs where if you're aware of somebody before they're aware of you, you already have control and a very real sense of their ability to perceive you, because you can see what they're doing and where they're going. And you can use that as a way to basically avoid them. Again, this is something that I've done a number of times over the years, and I found it to be quite helpful. And it's just fun. All right, so that's it for this week. I just wanted to share that with you and to answer that question that the person had asked in last week's video. And I'll be back next week with some more awesome videos. I got tons of ideas, so trust me, you guys are going to like what I have to share with you in the coming weeks. And of course, if you do have any questions or things like that, feel free to write a comment below. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button in the corner and click the little bell button after that so you get notified when these videos go up on YouTube. Thanks and take care and have a great week.